Okay, so in this video, I will be talking about the sources of stem cells, and this falls under topic 1.1 of the IB Biology syllabus. So first of all, there are three main sources of stem cells. As we know, stem cells are undifferentiated cells that have the potential to divide into many different types of specialized cell, and therefore they are very useful for medicine and biological research. So we obtain them from three main sources, and these sources are embryonic stem cells, which are deliberately created, umbilical cord stem cells from the newborn baby, adult stem cells, which are obtained from tissues such as the bone marrow. So let's start by talking about embryonic stem cells. Embryos can be deliberately created by fertilizing egg cells with sperm cells and allowing the resulting zygote to develop until around 4 to 16 embryonic stem cells have been developed. Scientists remove cells from the inner cell mass region. These cells have the potential to develop into any type of cell in the body. They are pluripotent. Arguments for using stem cells. So, a good thing about stem cells is that they can be used to replace organs or tissues that have been damaged in a patient, so therefore lives can be saved and quality of life can be improved. Cells can be removed from embryos that have stopped developing and would have died anyway. Cells are removed at a stage when no pain can be felt by the embryo, and it requires the use of embryos we can use these embryos from IVF, so these embryos would have otherwise been destroyed and wasted anyway, so at least you could say that these embryos are going towards a good cause, they are helping people. There are also arguments against the use of embryonic stem cells, and there are ethical concerns when it comes to the use of embryonic stem cells. There is a danger of embryonic stem cells developing into tumor cells. And every human embryo is a potential human life. And some people see this as killing and morally wrong. They think it is unethical and that this procedure is harming a human life. The next source of the stem cell is the umbilical cord. So blood can be extracted from the umbilical cord of the newborn baby, and stem cells can be obtained from it. The cells can be then frozen and stored for possible use later in the baby's life. Arguments for the use of umbilical cord stem cells. So they are relatively easy to obtain in a non-invasive process. The cells will be 100% compatible with the donor baby, so there's no risk of rejection of the cells. And umbilical cord stem cells don't raise any special ethical concerns and are widely used in research and clinical care. Arguments against the use of umbilical cord stem cells. Umbilical cord stem cells will not continue to grow and divide in culture as the cells must be frozen. And they are multipotent, so can only differentiate into a limited number of cell types, and these are blood cells. Moving on to adult stem cells. So adult stem cells have been found in the brain, bone marrow, blood vessels, etc. They are thought to live in a specific area of each tissue where they may remain dormant for years, dividing and creating new cells only when they are activated by tissue injury, disease, or anything else that makes the body need more cells. So there are arguments for and against the use of adult stem cells. Let's start with the arguments for the use of them. The cells will be 100% compatible with the donor adult, so no risk of immune system rejecting these cells. Adult stem cells do not raise any particular ethical concerns, and are becoming more widely used in research and in medical treatment. Arguments against the use of adult stem cells. So they are multipotent, meaning they can only differentiate into a limited number of cell types. And some types of adult stem cells are rare and hard to obtain from the tissue, so it may require a more invasive process. So to conclude, we learnt about the three different sources of stem cells: embryonic stem cells, cord blood stem cells, and adult stem cells. We can just skim read through this. So embryonic stem cells can be obtained from excess embryos from IVF programs. Cord blood cells are easily obtained and stored. However, there is a limited amount of cord blood cells that are available in the umbilical cord. Adult stem cells are difficult to obtain as there are very few and are buried deep in tissue. So as I said before, this would require quite an invasive process. Ethics of the extraction. So we would have to destroy the embryo. So there's the argument that an embryo is a potential human life, and we're essentially murdering this potential human life. There aren't really many special ethical concerns with cord blood cells and adult cord blood stem cells and adult stem cells. Growth potential for embryonic stem cells, it's almost unlimited. Meanwhile, there is more limits towards cord blood stem cells and adult stem cells. There is a higher risk of tumor development in embryonic stem cells than in cord blood stem cells and adult stem cells. Also, we already talked about the differentiation. Genetic damage: embryonic stem cells and cord blood stem cells have less chance of genetic damage in comparison to adult stem cells, and this is because in adult stem cells there is accumulation of mutations through the life of the adult, so genetic damage can occur and this can accumulate in the stem cell. For compatibility, embryonic stem cells are not genetically identical to the patient. Meanwhile, cord blood stem cells and adult stem cells are fully compatible with the patient, as the stem cells are genetically identical. So there is less risk of rejection by the immune system. And that's it. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel for more biology and chemistry videos. Thank you very much.